Welcome to the Bedminster Township Committee. This is our regularly scheduled meeting for August 15, 2022. I recognize that we have full attendance by the Township Committee in person. Committeeman Stevenson, Committeeman Hickey, Committeewoman Mareski, and attending by Zoom, Committeewoman Fernandez. Ms. Ray, may we please have the Open Public Meetings Act statement?
Adequate notice of this meeting of the Township Committee was sent to the Courier News Somerville, Burnsville News Whippany, and to all subscribers, and posted at the Township Municipal Building on January 6, 2022.
Great, thank you. Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So at our August 1st meeting, I remarked that we had gone through a very busy July, and we were glad that August was here and it finally arrived. And we were hoping for the prospects of a less busy August. Well, that's not going to be the case, and it certainly has not been. August has been busy for the Township Committee and for Bedminster staff. As mayor, one of the things that we do, we announce good things, and we announce bad things, and when it's appropriate, we announce sad things. And I'm very sorry to announce that Howard Walkow passed away on Friday morning. Howard was a very active Bedminster resident. He was serving on the Bedminster School Board. Doug, do you know how many years he's been on? Was he on his third term?
I think that's right.
Yeah, I think he was on his third term as school board. He single-handedly revived the scouting program in Bedminster, devoted to scouts. And at the funeral service this afternoon, had dozens of scouts and scout leaders from all over came to pay their respects. Howard loved Bedminster. You don't run for the school board unless you do so. Wonderful husband to his wife Jean, and an adoring father to his daughter Abigail. So on behalf of Bedminster Township and myself and my family, we offer condolences to the Walco family, and I'm sure others will be talking about it as we move through the meeting. This week, and with a group of Trump supporters at the we call the protest corner. Pretty loud this Sunday morning. I went out there 3 times, and Sergeant Ariel and Special Officer Jeff Dugan were out there making sure everything was going well. People were staying out of the Lamington Road right of way and out of the Route 206 right of way. And Colin joined me as he was coming back from picking bagels and had to get through the barricade to his neighborhood. I'll say that there were about 4 or 5 people that came up to me and Sergeant Ariel and saying, "You're doing a great job," to Sergeant Ariel. And someone remarked that, whether you're giving us direction or telling us not to do something, you always do it with a smile and with respect. And it was nice to see that those comments being directed to our police, and I think a fair amount of that goes because of that guy right there can't see me on, well, we could move the camera around
Okay.
to Chief Rock. So Chief, crew was doing a great job out there. It was loud, but I did not get any complaints, and Sergeant Ariel was clear that it would really take someone to file a written complaint before that you could do anything with it. So I put it out there, and once again, great job by Bedminster PD for keeping everything respectful at the property. With that, we do have a couple other significant items, but we will cover that during the rest of the meeting. So this is the opportunity for public comment. So if anyone wishes to make a comment, we've got a few people in the room. You can come up to the microphone up front and we'll recognize you. If you are participating by Zoom, take your cursor, go down to the bottom of the page, click on participants. You'll get the option to raise hand. If you click raise hand, Ms. Ray will put you into queue for public comment.
I'm not seeing any yet.
No public comments? Let's move on. We have 2 sets of minutes to approve. The August 1st, 2022 Township Committee meeting at 7 p.m. and the August 1st, 2022 closed session meeting at 8:10 p.m. Questions or comments regarding the meeting minutes that have not otherwise been provided to Ms. Ray? Seeing none, we'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
We have 5 permits and raffles to consider. Let's go through A, B, C, and E first. Actually, no, we're gonna go through A, B, and C first, and then we'll do D and E. So A is social fair permits benefit the Expect Miracles Foundation on October 3, 2022 from 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. at Fiddler's Oval Country Club, 811 Rattlesnake Coach Road, Bedminster. B, social fair permits benefit Summit Medical Group Foundation on September 19, 2022 from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. at Pendleton Farm Golf Club, 1040 Parsville Road, Bedminster. C, social fair permit to benefit Music in the Somerset Hills, Inc. on September 24, 22 from 1:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at 1350 Larks Cross Road, Bedminster, at the rain date of September 25, 2022. Any questions regarding those 3 social fair permits? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Item D is a fireworks permit for a fireworks display scheduled for September 10, 2022 at approximately 9:30 p.m. at Trump National, 900 Lamington Road, Bedminster. And we have a representative from Trump National to walk us through the fireworks display.
Good evening, committee.
Thank you. Name and your title.
My name is Rob Totten. I'm Director of Security at Trump National Golf Club.
Busy summer for you, Rob?
Yes, sir.
You taking a break, taking vacation time anytime soon?
Not anytime soon.
No, not anytime soon.
Soon enough.
Okay. So why don't you, Rob, why don't you give us just a summary of the fireworks display?
Sure. So on September 10th, the club is hosting a fundraiser. And that's going to start around 7. And I've applied for a permit for fireworks, which will require a road closure of Copperwaith Road. As you mentioned, the approximate time would be 9:30 p.m. Sometimes they run a little bit late. My application, I put between 9:30 to 10. I'm going to push for as close to 9:30 as possible.
What's the duration of the fireworks?
It's about 8 minutes.
8 minutes.
And in cooperation with our attorneys, the letters are going to be prepared and sent out to our neighbors within 200 feet of the property 2 weeks prior to the event.
Okay. Questions or comments from the Township Committee? Chief, been inspected or been, the application's been inspected by your office?
That's
And
correct.
Fireworks, I'm
That's
sorry, the fire
correct.
department?
It's just one of the usual shows where it's going to require three assets to close the road, secure the fireworks. And I don't see any problem. It's the same vendor and, the launch site's the same, so nothing really changes when it comes to the fireworks over there.
Rob, what happens if we maintain the drought conditions that we're currently in?
I'm
Is that gonna be your
hoping,
question? I'm sorry, Renee.
That's okay.
No, it's okay. No, I withdraw the question. I talk enough. Renee, do you have a question?
I was just gonna say, it's been really dry out there. Do we have any contingencies for if something happens?
well, I'm hoping that we get some rain before that. But we do have irrigation systems that cover the whole club. And, if it's really, really dry, I'll discuss it with the fire marshal. And if he determines that we have to take some kind of steps, the club does have ample water. And, we could douse things down. But where the fireworks are going off, it's like over the top of the clubhouse. That's all green grass all around there.
Okay.
But I'll be in touch with the fire marshal. And like, he'll take a look, I would think. And we're going to have to address it depending on, these current drought conditions.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, and you expressed it much more articulately than I would have. Any further questions for either Chief Rock or for Rob from National? Seeing none, take a motion to approve the fireworks permit for September 10th.
So moved?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Good night, Rob.
Item E is a special use permit for the Center for Contemporary Art for the installation and display of felt banners from September 1, 2022 through December 10, 2022 at the Center for Contemporary Art, 2020 Burke Mills Road, Bedminster. And we have from Center for Contemporary Art. So Cynthia, if you can give your full name and your title at CCA.
Sure. My name is Cindy, legally Cynthia Wish, and my title is Executive Director of the Center for Contemporary Art.
So Robin, you had sent us earlier the
Should be also in your book. under the
rendering.
Permits, there's a rendering in
What's under
there.
permits?
All the way in the back. On the
Probably
permits.
in the back.
Sure. And with the committee's permission, I would like to share my screen and give a little more context to what we're applying for and give you some more visuals as to what we're seeking.
Sure, Cindy, go ahead.
Would that be okay? I realized I did not give you a lot of context the last time I met with you, and so I appreciate the opportunity to meet with you again. And I wanted to share with you a little bit about the exhibition itself. Do not be worried. This is only going to take about 90 seconds and I'll get back to the point. But the show that is going on at the time of the proposed felt banners outside the building is called Beneath the Surface. It is work by the artists of the Northeast Felt Makers Guild. It'll be on display within the building from September through December with an opening reception on September 30th. So I hope you can make it. And I'm just going to walk you through a couple of pieces that have been submitted to the exhibition so that you can see what will be happening inside the building. So you can see how it correlates to what we propose to happen outside the building. A lot of people think of the fiber arts as childish or something like that, but I want to show you these images just to reinforce the fact that it's a very serious part of the contemporary art practice. So you see they can be sculptural, they can be painterly, they can be both. Obviously very conceptual. and I love this one. It's also super painterly as well. So what we're proposing to happen outside the building while this exhibition is happening inside is to hang 6 banners that are approximately 2 feet by 4 feet. You can see the bullet points. They'll be installed in September. They'll be installed in December. In case of fully inclement weather, we would bring them inside. An installation would be done with screw hooks through the windowsills, which would then be removed and puttied over and painted with weatherproofing paint. So the building would be restored to its original space. So, when we met last, I heard your concerns about the environment and the content. And so thus I went back to the felt makers and we took our proposal and made it something that I think is a little more palatable, a little more reasonable. And I very much appreciate your comments from our last meeting. So this is what we are now proposing for exterior use of the building and applying for a special permit for.
Okay, so at this point, the banners that were going to be displayed on the trees and other outside hanging areas, they're all going to be, well, you'll have 6 hanging by those windows.
Yeah.
Other displays will be interior.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. I heard your concerns and they were entirely valid. And so we went back and, as I said, made a more reasonable approach to having an external aspect to this exhibition.
Oh, and also to confirm that in our agenda, it says the permit is for September 1, but your application and your presentation says September 30th through December 10. So it's September 30 to December 10 rather than September 1.
True. Yeah, there has been some shift in the scheduling as to when things will be installed and taken down. As I'm sure you can understand, programming has some flexibility to it.
Any further, well, let me open up to Township Committee for questions or comments. Seeing none, I'll take a motion to approve special use permit for Center for Contemporary Arts, September 30th through December 10 for the outside felt banners.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hey, thank you, Cindy, and good luck with the exhibit.
Thank you so much. And I hope you can make the opening. And I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to revise our proposal for you.
Great, thank you. Good luck. Okay, we'll proceed to monthly report discussions by subcommittee chair. We'll start with Committeeman Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. I have historic press coming up this week, so I'll report back next time. For DPW, it's really the same update that I did last time. Continuing to work on the cutting of the trails. We've got some product coming in to treat the dirt roads. So that'll be continued coming up, and just continue to work the basins, get the village resurface. And that's my, so by the historic press next time.
Okay, is there an update on repaving? Because no update. Okay. All right. Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. There is no Board of Health meeting this month, so I will not have any report on that. Just a dovetail with Committeeman Stevenson's report. At Farmers Market this weekend, we got high praise for Rodney and DPW, who cut back some of the trails and the brush that was on there, and there was a lot of big thank yous for that, Rodney. So much appreciated from some of our constituents. Thank you. And land use, Mayor, I think you probably have some news on that one that you'll cover.
I'll cover that. Committeewoman Mareski.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. Just a reminder about Bat Night is this Friday, August 19th, 7:30, River Road Park. Be there. It's going to be great. Leah Wells is the presenter this time, so it's a new presenter, so she'll be pretty exciting to see. And that's all I have for you today.
Great. I think we've all been at Bat Night before. It's pretty interesting, exciting. They get those sensors out there.
The echolocators, they'll be out listening for the bats.
All right. Committeewoman Fernandez.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had a quick update on recreation and Fall Fest. So Camp Bedminster ended this week and it was quite a success. I heard a lot of positive feedback this year. And as far as Fall Fest goes, sponsorships are slowly coming in. Our Fall Fest is planned for October 22nd. This year is the first time in a few years that we'll be having Fall Fest, and it'll be run by the township, by our rec department. So if anyone is interested in becoming a sponsor and or exhibitor, they can contact Neil Mastrobono, our rec director. I just wanted to kind of update you guys on where we are with that, because October will be here before you know it. And that's all.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
So I will cover, well, first off, there's no library board meeting, so go through that. Library board meeting for Vicky and I. Farmers Market, 1,028.
19 shy of the record, 1,028.
1,028 this last Saturday. Weather was beautiful. It was not 97 degrees. Maybe we during the market hours, maybe we hit 80, but the sun was out. It was just a great day. Roddy, once again, everyone is loving the path. Certainly makes for those of us who are trying to maintain some order in the parking areas, makes our life a little easier that there's a path. We can direct them to walk in and out as opposed to walking behind cars. So that's all great. Rather, we did see some of the stakeouts for bringing the electrical lines down to the tent for whether it's going to be used for the misting fans or for the music. Great idea. Thank you for taking that through. So that's going to be well received for sure at the farmers market. Land use board. So there was an application. I think we had talked about this at some of the prior meetings. AT&T made an application for proposed operations at the former Mallinckrodt space, and that was last week on Thursday. And their application was approved. The specifics of the application was essentially a minor floor area ratio variance. The site was already beyond its FAR limit, and they're plopping down a small trailer for some testing equipment that's going to take up 3 parking spots. And our engineer takes position that that trailer, even though it can be moved and manipulated around, is still constitutes floor area, so it required the variance. It was approved. And what was interesting, it was a board of adjustment matter, so neither Committeeman Hickey nor I could attend. We were not eligible for participation as township committee members. But I did speak with some of the members who did participate and spoke with some of the professionals as well. So why would AT&T need both 1 million square feet, or a little bit less than 1 million square feet at the AT&T campus, and the 240,000 square feet at the former Mallinckrodt space? Well, they probably don't. And I think what was expressed at the board, at the land use board, was that the site is capable of handling up to 2,000 employees. Not at the same time, because the building at 240,000, 230,000 square feet, right in that range, is probably best suited to handle between 600 to 700. But as the AT&T operations, the AT&T employment schedule has all evolved over the last several years, particularly so with COVID, that the 2,000 employees would be housed, or certainly identified as being employed at that property. So once again, 600 to 700 at any one time, but that may mean someone works there 1 day a week and is at home for 4 days, or 2 days in office, 3 days not. There'll be a rotating schedule like that, I'm sure. And this is extremely good news. So the Mountain Crowd space has been empty for years. So we are at one point bringing in full tenancy into an empty building. And I'm not here as a representative of AT&T, so I'm not making any formal pronouncements by AT&T. But knowing folks who work there, AT&T did send out a message to its employees saying, hey, we've had a good long run at the AT&T campus. Pack your bags, we're moving up the street. So once again, I'm not here. I don't have any specific knowledge or firsthand knowledge that they are completely vacating the AT&T campus, but based upon the approval, what was stated on AT&T's behalf at that board meeting and the messaging that they've given to their own employees, certainly does make it seem like they are vacating the AT&T campus, and this is a full relocation to Route 206. Now, everyone on this township committee has gone through the presentations. We've been working with AT&T. We've been working with MetLife. MetLife as the owner of the AT&T campus, and also working with the owner of the former Mountain Crowd property, who entered into a lease with AT&T. So we've been engaged with the immediate stakeholders, and we've also been engaged with our professionals. We've been engaged with the county. We've worked with the county on developing zoning options for the AT&T campus. As a township committee, we took the recommendations that were identified in that report, and we accepted the report and gave direction to the land use board to take the report and to proceed with the rezoning options. So that's something that is still on the land use board's agenda. The next land use board meeting, at this point, it doesn't look like there's going to be a meeting of the first week in September. That's Labor Day week, but there will be a meeting the following. So the second week in September, and if need be, if we need to move zoning discussions a little further, we can certainly accelerate those discussions. So from my perspective, everyone else to express their own indications. We are putting empty building back into use and to some extent clearing the way for MetLife as the owner of that property to work with the town in the rezoning and developing a zoning scheme that is going to put the property into use and bring great things to Bedminster and our residents. So that's on our agenda. It's really a priority for the land use board. Certainly, the township committee has made it a priority for the land use board, and we'll continue with that. And that is what I have. The indication from AT&T as expressed at the land use board is the expectation is that folks will start migrating into that building in 2023. So maybe not for the next couple of months, maybe we'll be doing some fit out work. Building really doesn't require much fit out, but we'll probably start seeing a little more activity out at, sooner or later, we're going to not call it the Dendrite or the Mountain Crowd, or going back even further, the Pfizer site. That's right. I didn't know that.
Wow.
I should have, because I think the look, it was a Pfizer site. But we'll call it the AT&T site. So that's what I have for my subcommittee reports. Ms. Ray, may we please have the administrators report?
Sure. First, Saturday, October 8th, the Somerset County Clerk Steve Peter will be offering mobile office day here for Bedminster residents. It's a Saturday. Assist with services such as passport applications, election forms, notary services. So that'll take place October 8th. We'll push that content out. Just wanted to let you know that both Pottersville Volunteer Fire Company and Bar Hill Bedminster Fire Department are submitting applications for the 2022 American Rescue Plan Firefighters Grant. Both are for personal protective equipment. And the grant's actually due tomorrow. We'll have the resolutions are on the agenda. Last Friday, it was 2 Fridays ago, August 5th, I met with our PSC&G Regional Public Affairs Manager, Mike Coyle, in addition to discussing any current PSC&G projects that might be coming down the pike, of which there are none in the immediate future. We also discussed road opening moratoriums, paving plans, and there's also an AOP mapping application, which gives the township access to gas lines where they are located. So we've never had that before. So that's a new tool that we'll be getting access to, which I thought was great. New today, we have the Bedminster Crossing. Just got word of this late this afternoon. Bedminster Crossing, which has the 5 affordable rental units, just went live today as far as advertising. So
That's the name?
Yes, Bedminster Crossing,
Bedminster Crossing. I
correct.
thought there might be turtles involved in that.
So that is actually live, and CGP&H will be advertising that through our local newspapers on Thursday, and we'll post it on our website as well. Also, I've been working with Chris Crowell on updating the township sheltering plan for OEM in the event of an emergency, as you are aware of. And just a reminder, you all have a copy of the 2021 audit at your desk there. It's complete. It's been distributed to the governing body. The audit synopsis will be published tomorrow's newspaper, and we'll have a resolution on the next township committee meeting, as well as the corrective action plan, if any. And let's see, we concluded interviews for the position of construction official, and we are now scheduling second interviews with our full human resources committee. And employee performance reviews have been submitted, but they're under review by HR right now.
Okay.
And JCP&O will begin tree work throughout the township August 16th, 17th, and 18th. We'll have that posted out via rave tomorrow, first thing. And last but not least, which is my absolute favorite, it's been a pet peeve of mine, is that cell tower, Verizon cell tower. You ever see these things? They're like all over the place along the hike and bike trail. Our tree no longer looks like a tree. It's just like a cell tower. So I reached out to Mark Boschieri, thanks to Colin, give me his contact information. He's the regional representative from Verizon. He forwarded my request and my photos over to their wireless company who maintains the sites. It's actually owned by Crown Castle, and they're going to go ahead and begin the process to refresh the site. It takes about 6 months from beginning to end. So that's on its way.
How many months?
6 months. They
6
have to
months.
wire all these little guys on there.
I've got an old Christmas tree they can
Exactly.
use.
That's all it is.
They can pull it apart. It will be done in faster than 6 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. But,
welcome.
we do, at the last meeting, we invited Tony Taranelli to come back from Hubbardsville Volunteer Fire Company to walk us through the upgrades, just as we walk through the upgrades for the library website. Tony wants the opportunity to come back and walk us through the upgrades for the PVFC website. Ready to do so?
I'm not.
Or are you just here to see?
He wants his money.
I came to talk about the resolution.
Okay, all right, then all right. Next time. Okay. So we'll take you off that little sidetrack agenda. Introduced ordinances, we have none. Introductions, ordinances, we have none. Public hearing of ordinances, we have none. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 items on the consent agenda. So we could just go through the consent agenda without comment unless you want.
I did want
Okay, so that's really for the township committee. So township committee, you guys okay with pulling off resolution number 2022-090 off the consent agenda? We'll put it under item 13.
Makes sense.
Okay, and we'll give President Taranelli the opportunity to provide some comment on that.
Move items B, C, and D.
And B, C, and D, we'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda with items B, C, and D.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson.
Aye.
Mr. Hickey.
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez.
Aye.
Rusty, and Mayor Jacobs.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go through the individual consent agenda and let's start with what we just pushed off, which is, we're not going to go in order of numerical order, but let's go through resolution number 2022-090. This resolution authorizes the Township of Bedminster to submit a grant application on behalf of the Pottersville Volunteer Fire Company to the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs for the 2022 American Rescue Plan Firefighter Grant. President Taranelli, come on up to the microphone, please.
Thank you. I think it's on, right?
You have to speak, President.
Okay. Tony Taranelli, President, Pottersville Volunteer Fire Company. And I didn't mean to confuse things tonight. I just wanted to come and say thank you to the committee for agreeing to authorize our grant for our new PPE, which in this case will be SCBA breathing apparatus. But most of all, I really wanted to thank Administrator Ray for her efforts in helping us, because this is really a complicated thing, and I don't think we could have done it without her. She basically grabbed us by our necks and dragged us across the finish line.
Necks.
Shirts. To get it done, so
We try to keep it clean, so
I didn't
necks
want
and
to,
shirts are good.
I just wanted to be on record of thanking her for the effort she made to get this done for us. So, and thank you to the committee.
And thank you for all your work.
Okay, that was it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Questions
you.
or comments regarding resolution number 2022-090? Seeing none, take a motion to approve.
Second,
Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson.
Aye.
Mr. Hickey.
Aye.
Ms. Marusky.
aye.
Ms. Fernandez.
Aye.
Mayor Jacobs.
Aye. So going back to resolution 2022-080. This authorizes the person-to-person transfer of plenary retail distribution license number 1801-44-002-006 from Grateful Spirits, Inc., trading as Colonial Liquors, to Pluckman Liquor LLC. Chief Rock.
Mayor,
Your office has gone through the
sure, so.
application to transfer the license?
Correct. So this, obviously, person-to-person license transfer, it's been a work in progress. The initial application was missing a lot of documents. ABC Officer Sergeant Cummins combed through all the paperwork that was presented, identified what was lacking, went back after it, came back in, final review, conducted interviews with all the stakeholders. And, everything checks out that, there should be no reason that this license is not transferred to the future owner.
Okay. Comments or questions from Township Committee? Seeing none, take a motion to approve resolution number 2022-080.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson.
Aye.
Mr. Hickey.
Aye.
Ms. Marusky.
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez.
Aye.
Mayor Jacobs.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next is resolution number 2022-088. This resolution authorizes the appointment of a full-time violations clerk in the shared municipal court. Ms. Ray, just want to walk us through the situation that brought us to this point.
Sure. We have a vacancy in the court due to Jenny Peterson resigning, and we have never fulfilled that. We've never filled that position. So that this is a full-time violations clerk at 35 hours a week.
Questions or comments from Township Committee? Seeing none, take a motion to approve resolution number 2022-088.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote again, please. Mr. Stevenson.
Aye.
Mr. Hickey.
Aye.
Ms. Marusky.
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez.
Aye.
Mayor Jacob.
Aye.
Thank you.
And the last resolution for tonight is resolution number 2022-089. This resolution authorizes the hiring of a part-time violations clerk in the shared municipal report. Ms. Ray?
Sure. So from time to time, when someone's on vacation or there's a need for an extra pair of hands, we usually employ part-time violations clerks. We have a list of them. This adds another person to our list.
Questions or comments from Township Committee? Jean shaking your head no. Seeing none, I'll take a motion to approve resolution number 2022-089.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson.
Aye.
Mr. Hickey.
Aye.
Ms. Moreski.
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez.
Aye.
Jacobs.
Aye.
Thank you.
And I'll take a motion to approve the bill list pending review of individual invoices. So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote again, please. Mr. Stevenson.
Aye.
Mr. Hickey.
Aye.
Ms. Moreski.
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez.
Aye.
Jacobs.
Aye.
Thank you.
New business, we have an item on for discussion as new business, which is exterior paint colors for structures within the township's historic district.
So I can give some insight on that, Mayor.
Sure.
One of the things, this is coming out of the historic, one of the things coming out of the historic preservation is applicants who want to put a particular color to either match a logo or a theme or something like that, or just, color that's your favorite. But what the commission's been trying to do is make sure that the colors are consistent with the historical nature of the districts. And so from time to time, there's been a bit of inconsistency in how we're sort of directing the applicants. So the idea was that an ordinance that directed the applicants to a paint palette. You pick a color on the palette, you don't have to choose that particular. We chose the Benjamin Moore historical palette. And the idea is that you don't have to pick Benjamin Moore paint, pick whatever paint you want, but match it to color. And so long as you do that, it's fine. And then the idea is, I think that before we take any formal action, it would behoove us to have them go back to historic preservation, which I'll do this Thursday, to just get them to sign off on it and see if it's something that they actually do want us to affirmatively take up and consider. So that's sort of the plan. But before I take it back, obviously, if you've got any questions or concerns, I'm happy to air those.
I have a question. When you're saying paint color, are you referring to the building paint color, or anything signage, or anything like that, or just the building per se and shutters?
The answer is yes.
Exterior.
Everything.
Everything, including signage.
Interior, not interior. Exterior of the structures, signage out front,
Mhm.
signs attached to the improvements, anything that's visible from the outside.
Okay. And this is mostly referring to our Pluckman, which is mostly businesses, correct? Not really residential. There's not too much residential there.
Well, if it is historic districts, I mean, that would include my neighborhood.
Right. So it's just telling like residents, if it's residential, I think we might run into a problem with people not wanting to adhere to that, or getting fined, or paying a lot of money to have their house painted, not knowing about it and whatnot. So I think that that's something we should really look into and discuss, the potential problems that could come from that. Because somebody pays like $11,000 to have their house painted and it's not in the palette because they didn't know they had to adhere to the palette, it could, cause a big problem for our residents.
Don't all homes and businesses in the historic section has to be reviewed anyway, no matter what color they've picked, before they do anything to the outside of the building?
Color was not previously
Not
required.
original? Okay,
It was an action not requiring it to do
okay.
by the Historic Preservation Commission, painting of the exterior of the structure. So we deleted that to now essentially make it a requirement.
Mhm. No, and I understand where it's coming from. Like, we don't want something like chartreuse green. I get that, or bright yellow. I'm just saying, where it might be a concern of mine is like how our residents are going to react, especially if they take action to paint their house and then, are getting fined and have to repaint it. That's very expensive for them. So that's just a concern that I think comes right to my mind.
Point well taken. I mean, I don't know, John, whether it could be applied strictly to the commercial districts or whether it can be just a requirement moving forward with applications. Or if the answer is that no, we don't get into the paint business, then we need to advise the HPC that they're out of the paint business. I mean, either way, I just want there to be consistency.
Well, we could limit it to a certain zone. So your zone, hillside, is not in the same zone as downtown.
It's a different zone. When we were going for building permits to do the addition on our house 22 years ago, we were sent over to HPC, and I remember the question coming from the board at that time. We call your house the yellow house on hillside. Are you going to keep it yellow? Do you want it to be yellow? Yes, we want it to be yellow. So it stays yellow. But other than going through that approval process, all these other houses, that's essentially from, I think, my house down is the historic district. So you've got a mix of older homes. You've got some modular homes that I still remember they were bought on, flatbed and erected. They're in the historic district. It doesn't necessarily mean they're old or have significance. So it is something that, certainly kicked around with HPC and the concerns that Gina raised, let's have that discussion, or HPC should have that discussion. Right.
Could we just relegate it to the main streets and not the homes that are beyond it?
I have to look at the zoning map. I don't have a picture of that in my mind, but I'm sure we can work with that.
Because that would be more businesses than
Right.
residential, and I think there'd be less of a problem. And the color palette would have to be not extensive, but
It's-
give you enough options where it's not
very
taupe,
extensive.
beige, and off-white.
It's very extensive.
So,
There's a ton of colors.
and I like Benjamin Moore colors generally, but to Gina's point, not everybody wants to be told what colors, but
And then
understandably, we don't
That's-
want chartreuse and orange and
Right.
nasty
This-
stuff down the main streets of our little tiny town.
correct. I mean, the genesis, I think, was way back when the one building in the fucking park was banana yellow, like electric yellow. And everybody got their arms about it. And then you turn to your books and say, okay, well, what do we have here to enforce it?
Right.
So if you don't have an enforcement tool, then deal with banana yellow, but no offense to yellow mayor. But,
I grew up in a
know,
yellow house.
We didn't do banana yet.
There are many shades.
So, I mean, that's what we'll take up and that's what we'll consider. And I don't think the idea was to get something up on the books and then run around and issue summonses to everybody for not having the right color paint. But see, it's there. So I will have it at them and we'll talk through all the issues and we'll just, take it up as they see fit and come back and see what we want to do, if anything.
But certainly the color materials in the commercial districts have proven to be a good safeguard, because a lot of folks have come in with the corporate logo that
Yes.
might be a bright purple or a bright orange or something else. And HPC has made the request of, can you make it consistent with those historic colors? And most applicants have agreed to do that.
But again, without something out
But
there.
yeah,
On the
First,
books.
Yeah, yeah,
they
yeah,
can say
yeah.
no.
Right,
You know,
right.
you're stuck.
And then you do have your chartreuse.
I agree.
So,
I think it's worth the exploration.
yeah, we'll kick it around on Thursday and see what they say.
Don't hire Victor is the applicant.
Okay, that's old business. I'm sorry, that's new business. Old business, let's skip COVID-19. DOT improvements. Chief, do you think we're going to see anything further out of DOT for any of those additional signage?
Well, as we discussed in prior meetings, I think River Road's done to the best of its ability. I was under the impression that Saeed was going to give some pictorial signage down at Hills Drive. Haven't seen that crop yet. Obviously, we did get the painted arrows signs on, or in the lane marking.
Yep.
So I think that will be an advantage to motorists. If you can't see that, I don't know. Really shouldn't be driving. At this point, I think, we asked the state, it took a while, you have to stay on them, but obviously, they deliver.
Well, there are the ones that are up on the streetlights.
Did they finally put those up? I was up there last week.
I saw them today. So the ones that say go, no U-turn, no left
So it's
turn,
up on the actual cross, remember up top on the traffic signal?
they're not very large,
Right.
but they're there. You
So-
kind of have to look for them, but that, and then it's the same problem as we have on the River Road, where the road is north and we want to put a sign in between to say, stay to the right.
Mhm.
Where it says no turns, facing north.
Facing
You-
north.
So on the heading south, it's facing north. You only have this much room because it's just the Jersey barriers there.
Right.
And it'd be great if you could put a sign there, no left turn, but there's no room to put it. So they
Oh,
only
okay.
have the little square ones up top.
Well, it's just as the chief said, it's also those giant arrows on the road surface itself. Straight.
Very effective.
I think having those there is great.
Just
Reminder.
another layer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, certainly. But I think the issue as relayed to the chief and then relayed back to us is that because you do have essentially the Jersey barriers, it's only so how wide of a sign can actually put on there that before it becomes a traffic obstruction.
Yeah.
And a safety hazard. So, Chief, I will, I'll pick up the dialogue with Saeed and see if there's anything else.
Something tall and
I thought you were gonna
skinny.
take
Something tall and skinny.
So did I.
I thought it was coming off the list.
And then I think it's coming off the list.
Come on, closure.
We never take anything off this
Nothing.
list.
I was gonna say, because I think
Ever.
It's all the
if
same
we
stuff
do
since I
deal
got on
with-
here.
we do hear from Saeed, like, that's it. We've done all we can. The DOT improvements for River Road and Hills Drive come on. And we can claim victory because we got exactly what we asked for. We asked for better signage and DOT worked with us to get that. Okay, utilities. Committeeman Hickey.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple updates. Altice, as I've discussed before, regarding the fiber to the home project, the meetings with the individual homeowners associations are continuing. We did 2 last week. We have a couple more scheduled for this week. It takes time. Altice has been very generous with doing them after hours with their construction team, because obviously a lot of the homeowners associations, those folks are working during the days and can only get on the phone at night. So those are progressing. I anticipate those one-on-one meetings will continue between now and the end of September. I think we'll start to see shovels in the ground as more of the access agreements are signed, which hopefully means very soon. JCP&L. Just sit right back and you hear a tale. There was a power outage on Wednesday, August 3rd, that impacted one building on High Pond Lane, which is in Wood Duck Pond.
How hot was it that day?
It was about 100 degrees. Might have been the hottest day of the year. What was unique about that outage was JCP&L came out. They determined that the fault was in the underground line that connects their transformer to their meter bank. And then they said, and I'm paraphrasing, not our problem. This is your responsibility. So as you can imagine, this came as a bit of a surprise to the homeowners association, who then had to take extraordinary measures to provide both temporary power as well as to restore permanent service and the line. They rented a large portable generator to temporarily power the units, and then they had to hire an electrician and an excavation crew to dig up and replace the underground line. Of course, as the Mayor mentioned, this happened on the hottest days of the year. Rich Costa, who's the board president, reached out to me as the situation was developing and asked if anything could be done from our end. I immediately escalated the issue to JCP&L, who, after conferring with their engineering team, determined that yes, indeed, this was the customer's problem. The good news is, thanks to the valiant efforts of Rich and his board, along with Robin Ray and our inspectors and the mayor. Generator power was up the next day and full power was restored on Friday, August 5th. The bad news is I'm not buying JCP&L's explanation. So I went to the JCP&L website and I pulled down this meaty read called the JCP&L Customer Guide for Electric Service. Very exciting. Read it when you have insomnia. In it, it states, quote, for residential developments, the company shall install and maintain the service lateral connectors, end quote. Laterals are the fancy name for those underground lines. It further states, regardless of who installs the service lateral, the customer JCP&L, quote, the company will assume ownership and responsibility for maintenance. So we have a situation. Either I'm reading it wrong or JCP&L has some explaining to do. I raise this because while this may be the first time it's happened in the hills, it will not be the last time. We definitely need some clarity around the situation. I think at the very least, the HOAs are owed an official communication from JCP&L as to who owns those service laterals and what options exist for JCP&L to provide insurance and repair if in fact the customer owns those lines. I've communicated that to our JCP&L reps and they've indicated to me last week they are looking into it. They're taking it very seriously. Suffice to say, more to follow, but I will certainly be following up. And that's all I have.
Thank you. So first of all, I do want to say kudos to you, Colin, for, as sort of the utility liaison, not sort of, as the utility liaison. You took it and you went the extra mile in working with the HOA and with Rich Casa, president of that homeowners association. Not being satisfied with the cursory answer from the JCP&L reps, but digging further into it. And even after the issue was resolved, not being satisfied and continuing to dig deeper. So kudos to you. And also kudos to Rich Costa.
Great job.
Because having dealt with many of the homeowner associations and the presidents, this board knows that oftentimes when an HOA is faced with spending money and taking action, the first inclination is not to do so.
Right.
Is to wait. And this was only one building in that homeowners association. So one building out of many. Rich took the steps to get in immediately, emergency generators, and to contract with the electrician to get everything going. Bedminster staff was great in offering those affected residents not only cooling here, but also giving them the option, certainly notifying them the option that they could go to the library for cooling. That day, I guess that was the Wednesday into the Friday morning, just brutally hot. Rich was, offering his own house.
He was going around checking on everybody multiple times.
Just, so great job. Frankly, it's a model for other HOAs and the presidents. Renee, I'm sure you can appreciate it as a president yourself, like to take those steps is extraordinary. And I think you did a great job for those with 4 or 5 impacted units. So great job. Doug and Gina, anything on your end from your utility discussions?
I have an update. I connected with Mark over at PSA, and we are going to be speaking next week. He wanted some time to talk to Ms. Banks, get the data that I had mentioned, pricing, and we're going to be speaking next week. I quite frankly don't know what can be done, but the point of the call is going to be, tell us why it is this is like this, and who at BPU can we speak to about if there's any exception to that, because it just seems so counterintuitive that the customers pay for the utilities.
As you've articulated, there will be lifelong, not just lifelong, the structures, the units
Perpetuity.
in perpetuity will be customers. They will make their money back. And it will be good for your neighborhood and for Gina's neighborhood to push that issue further. So thank you for that.
Hopefully I have an update for you substantively next time.
Okay, great. Pluckman Park Housing, Anything further?
Yes, we did have our housing inspection, code inspector, and code
Construction
inspector.
official.
Construction. So out there, just take a walk through, make some notations of things that perhaps novice eye like myself doesn't catch, but we've got several pictures. We're waiting for a formal report, which we'll have this week out. But we've got some photos here, and we've got enough, I think, to at least start putting together a list of things that we're gonna have to dig into with the owner's reps. But now at least we've got the due diligence on our end, so now we can at least schedule a meeting and try to see if there's some common ground.
Okay, thank you. So before we proceed to township committee comments, we'll just do another detour, and it can be as long as short as the speaker wants to do it. But instead of doing township committee comments, we will do police chief comments by police chief, Bedminster Police Chief, Carl Robb. Chief,
Thank
do you want to come up on camera, or are you good right where you are?
No, I'm good right here.
You sure?
I'm in a good place.
Okay.
So, growing up, everybody's dream job is your dream job. Mine was to be a police officer, and went to college. I fought for this job. I got in later in life. I started this in Bedminster at 28 years old, and it was heaven sent. I was hired by Gary Cummings, the great man. I only lived 8 miles from here, so young. I'd get off work, working nights. I'd run home. That's how like motivated and everything I was. It was only 8 miles, beautiful run, River Road. There's no traffic at 4 o'clock in the morning. So
Gary Cummins is getting phone calls from residents.
So,
You were
it's like
sleeping,
anything
right?
else, you get older, you get a little bit lazier. So then I took, to the car. Great career. I was here 3 years. I was promoted to sergeant, and stayed on the road for quite some time until I had the opportunity to move up, and I became detective lieutenant in 2014. During that time, I thank you Township. I went back to school and obtained a master's degree. Had 3 beautiful children, and it's been one heck of a ride. I will say that it's not easy. I don't come to work, put my uniform on and put my feet on the desk. I'm always engaged. 365, 24 hours a day, I'm thinking about Bedminster. And I didn't see it coming at 27 years and 2 months, but they tell you when it's time, it's time. So I'm in a great place. When I took over for Chief Meyer, those were some hard times. And then you spin about 6 months later, welcome President Trump. And then it was just 4 years of, just strategies and just keeping everybody safe that came to town. Throw in COVID, everybody was on their own. There was no one plan fit all. A lot of sleepless nights, and losing Sawyer Patterson was, I think about him every day. So, I appreciate what the town has given me. I appreciate the support. Judy Sullivan, just like these days, I go over and see Administrator Ray and have our morning debriefings, and they get you through the day because there's a lot of stress. Police work has changed, but I will say that the officers in that building make me look good. We might not always agree, but at the end of the day, we come together and we get the job done, and I think we do a great job. So that's it. 27 years, 2 months, and I'm out of gas. But I'm just fortunate to have worked in such a great town.
Thank you,
And,
Chief.
very
Thank you,
touching.
Chief. Here, come on, let's get you up on camera. Go, go.
You want to see?
Shake some hands.
I don't forget. So got like 12 days. Who's counting? Thank you. Thank you for everything. A lot of good times.
Thank you, Chief.
Shaking hands.
You're the consummate
And the
professional. I'll miss you.
And the professionals.
Thank you
Always
so much.
there. Mr. Gallardo, either call him or send him an email, and you always got the direct answer. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Renee, now is okay to shed tears.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, I already started.
We're not through comments yet. Don't worry. She'll get there.
We do have an executive session this evening, and we will be taking action after the executive session is over. We will be returning to public session to take a vote on a resolution, and that resolution is regarding the appointment of an officer in charge. So to run the police department the day after Chief Rock retires until such time as a new police chief is selected. So that's what is on our schedule for when we return to executive session. But now we'll run through township committee comments, and then we will adjourn to executive session. So we'll start with Committeeman Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to touch briefly on Howard Wolko and also on Chief, of course. I didn't know Howard all that well, I have to profess, but he did work hand in hand with my wife on the Board of Ed. And I know for a fact, his loss is a loss for all of us here in Bedminster. He was the financial guy over on the Board of Ed. He was the one that forecast figures and trying to allocate dollars to make sure that the residents weren't bludgeoned with a big school bill because of a large class or, that was coming in the future. So, it's a bigger loss than any of us can really put our fingers on right now because of the ripple effect of it and everything that he had his hands in. And, we talk about what makes, Bedminster so great, and it's the volunteers, right? It's the people who care, the people who roll their sleeves up and get down to business and help us govern. And he was a shining example of that. So, obviously I wasn't in the Scouts, but, he could see his dedication to that. But, I did get firsthand knowledge, about his role and involvement on the school board. So it's just, my heart goes out obviously to his wife and his child. And, for all of us, it's going to hurt a little bit, but I'm sure that they'll pick up and try to move on as best as possible. Chief, I think back to some of my most libertarian buddies at work, and they say, the role of government is pave my roads, keep me safe, and stay out of my life, right? The three things. But number two thing, even on someone who doesn't believe that they want to have a lot of government involvement, is keep me safe. And you're in charge of that from the first day I got on this desk. You were in charge, and I said it last time you weren't around, so forgive me for repeating myself a little bit. But the stability that you brought to that position, and at the time that you were put into the position, is exactly what we needed. And it wouldn't be a farewell speech if I didn't give you a sports reference. So like an umpire, like a ref in a game, the good ones are the ones you don't even notice. They're just doing their thing and letting the game play on. You think of all the near misses, all of the things that could have gone sideways on a very, very large public scale and didn't because of it. And because of what you're doing behind the scenes that no one sees, no one hears, no one participates, no one thanks you for. But it's that kind of leadership, quiet leadership from behind to make sure everything is smooth. We don't have hiccups, and you're right. You were dealt one thing after the next, after the next. And the fact that we made it through with as little problem as we did is a credit to you and to your staff. And I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, my family who lives here depends upon your safety. Thank you. Thank you for everything you did for us. You'll always be welcome here in Bedminster. Come back, don't be a stranger, but you will be sorely missed.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Committeeman Hickey.
Thank you, Mayor. Starting with Howard Wolko, he was a friend of Bedminster, is a fan of Bedminster. I was reflecting today, I think at one time in our life or another, we both thought in our heads, hey, when I die, will anybody show up? Well, Howard, the line was out the door and around the building today for your service, and the nearest parking was 2 blocks down. That doesn't say something. He taught us to be prepared, just like the Boy Scout motto or the Scout motto. I don't think any of us were prepared for this. He will be sorely missed. And as Committeeman Stevenson said, thank you for all you did to make Bedminster a better place. That's what it's all about. So thank you, Howard. You will be missed. And Chief, wow. I'm in the business world. And, you measure a leader not by how they perform in the good times, because anybody can lead in the good times. It's how they lead in the tumultuous times. And you talked about some of the things. These are things outside of your control. Things going on at the federal level, the state level, COVID. You mentioned Sergeant Patterson, and your leadership was just rock solid throughout. No pun intended. I mean, it was just, you were there. And, you know, you always wonder I'm always thankful to people who are staying up late at night worrying on behalf of all of us. And that was you. I know, Chief, we all know. And just thank you for keeping my family safe and all Bedminster residents safe during your tenure. You did a tremendous job. You don't get the thanks you deserve. Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Committeewoman Mareski.
Sometimes it's good to be the third one in line because they've said so many really nice things. First of all, I didn't know Howard. I think I met him on maybe 2 occasions, but I do know that anytime someone mentioned his name, it was always in high praise of his work with the school or the Scouts or his family. And I know he's going to be missed. Oops. And Chief, coming from the other side of town, it's really important that we have a police presence who's quiet, takes care of us, doesn't disrupt what's going on in that crazy place up there, but keeps us safe. And you guys couldn't have done a better job if you tried. So we really appreciate it. Oh, crap. And we're going to miss you, but we wish you the best.
Thank you so much.
Don't let me say anything more.
Okay. Committeewoman Fernandez.
Thank you. Just to piggyback on what everybody's saying, I knew Howard pretty well, and he was just such a positive, active member of our community. And he's one of those people that really, makes Bedminster the tight-knit community it is. So just this unexpected, passing is really hard for everyone, I'm sure, to take in, and especially when you have someone who's such, a positive member of our community. But I send my deepest condolences to the Walcall family, and love and light. That's all sending love and light. And then Chief, congratulations on your retirement. First of all, I hope you enjoy your retirement. And just to reiterate what everyone has said, I mean, it is an understatement to say that residents, on behalf of the residents and Township Committee, we have been extremely, extremely fortunate to have you, Chief Rock, as our chief for all these years. You've just been such a staple in the community, and you've really gotten us through some hard times. And we really appreciate everything you've done. You have big shoes to fill, and we wish you the best, and congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you, Gina.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Gina. With respect to Howard, I mentioned this to his wife today. I actually remember the first time I met. I was campaigning with Steve Parker. He knocked on his door. Gene answered the door and said, "Howard, you've got some political friends here." And it was already in the evening. I think it was a Sunday. And I think we spent about 35 to 45 minutes talking about tax policy and initiatives at the federal level, the state level, and what could we do at the local level. Howard was engaged and engaging. And it really was a couple of years later, and he decided that he just wasn't going to sit on the sidelines. He didn't want to run for township committee, but he wanted to get involved in the community, and he chose it through the school board. And later on, he chose it through resuscitating really what had been an absence of scouts. My 2 sons went through Cub Scouts here locally, and then went to Bernardsville for Boy Scouts. Howard resurrected a Scout program here. His daughter is in it, remained active. Howard was extremely active in Scouts, and once again, seeing the Scouts lined up today at the funeral home, both in the funeral home and outside. Was just inspirational. And to Gina and Abigail, we live in a small town, and the sense of community and family, we cannot escape it, right? In another town, larger town, it might get lost. The child might get lost. Abigail, you will not be lost in Bedminster. The whole town is family. To support you. Chief Rock, I covered this and I started, I think, a discussion last week and started off with saying, congratulations. Because it's been a terrific career. And I had the pleasure of being on the promotion review panel when Sergeant Rock, and it's hard to give up a Sergeant Rock, right? How many towns have a Sergeant Rock, right? That's pretty great. But the opportunity came up for lieutenant position, and I will say that was perhaps the finest recommendation from Craig Meyer. Put Sergeant Rock up for lieutenant. I had the pleasure of being on that promotion review panel, recommending Sergeant Rock to the lieutenant position. And then I was on the promotion review panel when it was time to make Lieutenant Rock Chief Rock. And once again, the right person at the right time. And so we can look back and having lived through Craig Meyer suffering with cancer in those last 7 months. Carl was shuttling back between here, the police headquarters, and going to Craig's house every day, sometimes multiple times a day. So the family was doing, Craig still wanted to report something was going on. Carl was there, 100%, and still acting as both the lieutenant, the detective lieutenant, in the sense of acting as the chief. And just as I said, you take a job in Bedminster 28 years ago, do you think you're going to be in the same town and dealing with protesters and supporters and all the national attention that's coming on in Bedminster? And throughout all of that, Bedminster, right through, right? You were never being portrayed as heavy-handed, that we were on one side or the other side. Played it cool, and that's exactly what Chief Rock did. He played it cool. He worked Bedminster. COVID hits, the whole world turns upside down. And I remember getting the call that that Easter Sunday, Tariq died. And so there's another opportunity where the stability from Chief Rock during that time, and once again, shuttling from police headquarters to engaging constantly with Sergeant Patterson's parents, his wife and children, and going back and forth. Once again, still running a police department during that entire time, and doing so admirably. A lot of pressures that come with that job. Once again, and Doug, you put it fantastically, things that we'll never know, right? We're out here, we see some of the behind the scenes issues sometimes, but not all the times. The Chief Rock was there making sure everything ran smoothly, quietly, with the utmost decorum. And Chief, we wish you a great, well-deserved. You know how much your family means to you, how proud you are of your daughters and them, and they of you. We've seen them here for your promotions, and, just once again, what a great family, and just thank you and thank you to your wife for
Same one.
letting us have you for all these years.
No.
So
Thank you.
thank you, Chief.
That'll be good. Decompress.
All right,
Thank you.
with that, it is 8:22. I'll take a motion to go to executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we will be returning to public session. I don't know if that's going to be in 5 minutes or longer. But we will be back. So Robin, if you could stop the recording. Okay, it is 9:44 and Township Committee is back in public session. We do have one resolution to consider before the night is over. I'm just making sure that that's all we have. So the resolution before us is resolution number 2022-094. This resolution appoints an officer in charge for the Bedminster Township Police Department effective September 1, 2022. And the resolution recognizes that Police Chief Carl Rock is retiring on August 31st after 27 years of service. And because we will not have a chief appointed by that time, we will need to appoint an officer in charge to run the day-to-day operations of the Bedminster Township Police Department until a formal process on the appointment of a new chief of police can be conducted by the township and concluded with the promotion of an interested, eligible, and qualified police officer to the chief position. Okay, so therefore be it resolved by the Township Committee of Township of Bedminster that Sergeant Frank Bernardo be appointed to the position of officer in charge effective September 1, 2022 until the voice is going, until the new chief of police is promoted and appointed by the Township Committee. That's the resolution. Take motion to approve.
Oh, sorry.
Second. Would
You might be a third.
You might be a
but-
third.
Want me a third?
I think Doug and Gina are first and second.
Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moreski?
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez?
Aye.
Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Thank you.
That concludes our agenda for tonight's meeting. Take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you and good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Oops,
Good night.